Great time.
I mean, James Remar, we had shot 2 weeks of the movie before he arrived. And James Remar had a different kind of Hudson. And because he was the first, we had kind of like the cast had kind of gotten used to each other. You know, we had that camaraderie thing going, and all of a sudden he was out, and here comes a newcomer, and I was like, man, it's like that, huh? And then Mike came in there, and Mike was playing his thing, and his thing was just like completely, he went the other way with it. And I was like, okay. And next thing you know, it was on and cracking, and I was like, all right, I'm sold.
Hey, I got a good story for you. When I got coming into London, Jim had called me about a month early and said, I don't know how to introduce Bishop, so let's try the knife thing. You know, we're gonna do the, remember when you were a kid and played the knife thing? And I said, oh yeah, I got that. Knowing him though, I went and got every kind of knife you could get because I didn't know what he was gonna choose. You know, and I had to work with it. So I got this kind, that kind, all these knives, right? And worked with them all. So by the time I got to London, I brought all the knives with me, and they were on top of in my luggage, they were right. And I get in, and the guy says, "You have everything to clear?" And I said, "No." I opens the bag, and there's all the knives. So it's back away from the bag. They weren't gonna let me in the country. They were gonna kick me out. The IRA was heavy involved at that time. And so, and then Dale had to come down and get me out.
Well, my question always is if I never understood that scene exactly, because if I'm not mistaken, and far be it for me to second guess James Cameron, your hand on top of his hand,
I did.
And then like do this with a knife?
Yeah.
So if anybody was gonna get stuck, it would have been you.
Yeah.
So why was he fucking freaking out?
Actually, it's a real thin skin. That was funny.
I never understood it.
Jim wanted me originally to do it with me doing it as a demonstration. And right before we shot it, I said, Jim, what if I put my hand on Bill's hand and then do it? Like, you know, I'm a protector, so I wouldn't have hurt him. I actually did get him at one point. We did it. And Jim said, it's a great idea. We didn't tell Bill. And then you guys grabbed it. And then we did it. And Bill, of course, went with it because he's like a scared cat. in that movie, that particular thing. It was really fun. And then the end of that story is, we finished the movie, we wrapped, we had our beers the night before we were going to fly away. And I get a call in the middle of the night like I was dreaming. And it was Jim going, Lance, you got to come back. Didn't look good, you know, it was sped up, didn't look good. And I went back to sleep. I thought, that's what the hell of a dream. The next morning, guys banging on our doors, Bill and my door, and we were in a car heading out to Pinewood again with huge hangovers. My head was like, it was that guy right there. I didn't mean anything by that. We get there, and I'm dealing with Bill again, and his little pinky was sticking out a little bit too much, and I gave him a blood blister. You should have heard him then. It was like the end of the world. Made a big deal out of it. We redid it. It worked. Anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Now, I've heard a lot of stories about what it's like to work with Jim Cameron. He's intense. It's very difficult to work with him. But the three of you have worked with him many times. So can you talk about what it's like to work with Jim Cameron? Like, a real story?
Yeah, so that's like, we're celebrating, and you're talking about how a party is.
I've heard Michael talk about it too, that people come up to him and say,
I'll tell you
it's really hard to
great
work
story.
with.
Actually, all the stuff you hear, Jim being too difficult to work with, actually, look, he's kind of a genius, to be honest. So, the only thing he can't do, and we all agreed, was he really can't act. So like whenever he gave us a line reading, you'd say like, really? You want me to say it that way? But one of the coolest moments I ever had was I had like a 4:30 a.m. call, and it's cold as hell in England, and you get driven up, and you dropped off, and I'm half clear-eyed going through the set, and it's pretty much much dark except for like some working lights, and at 4:30 in the morning, there's Cameron, and he's walking around the APC thing, and he was making notes, and just completely engrossed. And I just kind of went, "Hey Jim, how's it going?" And he didn't even hear me. We're the only two people in this whole cameras set, but that's how, you know, focused the guy is, and attention to detail. And so, I mean, you look at this piece, and this movie holds up, yeah? The most fascinating anecdote you can tell is like this movie cost was like 18 million bucks, right? 18 million. Today's money would be 180 million. So, you know, he's the genius. Look what he put on film.
I got one of those. At one point, he was setting up a shot, and I came over and my enthusiasm, I said, "Hey, Jim." He was looking through the thing, and I said, "Hey, Jim, listen, what if," and he said, "Can you see that I'm setting up a shot?" I said, and I walked away.
I got one of them. I got one of them. I remember we were coming out of it was raining. We were coming out of that big Hummer, whatever they call it. And I said, "Listen, Jim, when we come out, are we gonna run? Am I gonna run left? Or I'm gonna run right?" And he went, yeah. So that was it. He was often preoccupied. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just say that, you know, I had done that, well, after that, I did The Abyss, of course, and you know, I never saw Jim Cameron, you know, lose it on anybody. I've never seen, I just directed a movie for the first time recently about, and I was like a fucking lunatic. Madman.
You killed a couple people, right?
Screaming and yelling and
The guy's still locked up right now.
I just go fucking crazy on everybody. Not like, you know, not like it's like, where's the prop or whatever. So I mean, I understand the pressures in there, and I don't get it really. What, you know, I didn't work with him on Titanic. I didn't work with him on any other movies. But I never remember him yelling at anybody.
No,
You know?
no,
Never. And let me just say one last thing. I always say this, it's been written before, I'm sure. The only thing that he's ever said to me that I kind of went like this, you know, is that like, I did a take once, I'm not even sure if it was on Aliens, it's probably, I think it was the Terminator. And he came up to me and he said, "That's exactly the way I don't want it." And I said, "All right, Jim, well, how do you fucking want it? Show me, you know? So give me a fucking line reading. You know? And that's it. I mean, I do not, you know, I don't know where he gets his reputation from. I don't
know. I mean, I think if you're stupid or incompetent, then, you know, God help you. Absolutely. But I mean, I worked on Titanic, and when I was there in the scene with I was with my two little kids, and the little boy had never done a film before. I think he did like a McDonald's commercial or something, and he was like 4 years old. And so we did the first take, and he does, you know, what's going on, mommy, or whatever. And so Jim goes, "All right, we're doing it again," and he goes, why do I have to do it again? Did I not do it right? And he stops the whole production, and he goes, "Oh, you've never done a movie?" And he goes, "Okay, let me explain to you what happens." And he leans to everyone's side and goes, "Okay, first we're gonna shoot it like this, and then we're gonna do it again, and then we're gonna like maybe just shoot you, and then we're gonna shoot your mom, and then we're gonna turn around, and then we're gonna shoot everyone again. Is that okay? Do you think that's all right if we do it that way?" And he's like, "Okay." "All right, then is it okay that we do it?" "Okay." And I swear to God, that's what he did with the kid.
And that's how he directed me too. Somebody asked about Jim being a tough guy to work for. I always think, what spirit are you asking that in? You know what I mean? Because, and why would you ask that? And then I always think of it as like a three-man team on a 50 caliber sniper rifle. You got a spotter, you got the trigger man, and you got a guy who's gonna load it. Because, and that's the event. It's going to war, make a movie, we're going to war. Train leaves the station, it doesn't stop till it gets there. How can you define a guy by one moment if there was one? And why are you asking the question? Because
I'm happy to dispel it, though.
Not you.
No, but I'm happy to dispel it. Why are all here?
Yes, you. I've heard it before, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
But I think Jeanette put it succinctly, is that the guy knows so much about movies, and he does his homework before he starts. And so when he comes there, he expects you, if you're there, to know what you're doing. And if you know what you're doing, then it's all good, I think.
We were so excited when we started these movies and Aliens, and we were so excited. Man, you could have driven a nail through my foot. I would have noticed. For real. It was great. We knew what was coming. The minute we saw those sets, we all, right? We just went, oh, God, this is going to happen. This is really going to happen.
And also, those sets, it was kind of claustrophobic when you're working day after day, week after week, month after month in these cells that are designed to be sort of claustrophobic, and then you got the smoke in there, and you got 3 different slimes coming down. I mean, it was work, and you got the armor, and you got the guns, and it was work, but it was, I think because we had a little training before we actually did the movie, and by the time we got into it, there was a kind of camaraderie between the cast. And it felt kind of real,
There's actually a picture of me that some people, I guess the production had, and I had this really mean look on my face, and I sort of looked at where the gun was positioned and what was behind me, and I thought, wait a second, I'm off camera. I'm actually sitting on my special stool they had made for me, because I couldn't take the thing off, and that was me. I looked so miserable.
And another thing, they used to have the aliens eat away from us, and we would eat over here because they didn't want us to really mingle that much. They wanted to kind of keep you apart because you guys are on different sides of the team.
Mark, you mentioned the screenplay, and I think it's a brilliant screenplay. I think the dialogue's brilliant, and everybody has quotable dialogue that's very memorable. Can you guys talk about reading the screenplay for the first time? As actors, are you excited when you read that dialogue and those characters? Because there's so many individual definable characters in this ensemble.
I do, because I remember the first line in the script. I might be mistaken, but I think it was, space like the love of God, cold and remote. That got me kind of woo.
I don't even understand it. What is it?
That's William Shatner would say. Space like the love of God, cold and remote.
Oh, okay. I got it. All right. I'm getting old.
I stretched the line out.
Michael doesn't read stage description.
No, but that's all. His scripts are all stage description. I mean, it's very small in dialogue, so it's, there's a lot of stage description, right?
Yeah.
I wish Bill was here because then we could really beat the hell out of him. He's fun.
He wanted to be here, unfortunately, he couldn't be here.
Yeah.
I think he's in China right now,
He's in China?
working on a movie. Wow.
Damn. That's like an out-of-work actor. At the moment, I'm out of work. Between jobs. What's your deal? China.
Brian, in answer to your question, Michael said there was no excuse.
Hey, well, that's cool. He's in China. That means you can dog him.
Yeah, Billy Paxton.
But I was saying about the dialogue, it was interesting because some of the lines I've read in there, and I was thinking, how we're going to make this work. I was thinking, like one line I thought was not funny at all. It was harsh language. Right? All the time talking about, harsh language. When I thought, that's not corny. But under the circumstances, when you get everything moving and everything, bam, it worked. The line I really liked, I thought was poontang.
Can't go wrong there.
I've heard a lot of slang, but I've never heard any futuristic slang called like.
Well, I like that Billy's, yeah, but it's dry heat.